We're living in this world that's just overflowing with information, right? So why does finding the truth feel harder than it's ever been? Everyone's talking about this post-truth era, but what if the problem isn't that truth has vanished? What if we've just been looking for it in all the wrong places with completely the wrong map? So to find our way, we're going to need a whole new map. First, we'll tackle a massive 2,000-year-old mistake in philosophy. Then, we're going to redefine truth as something you do, not something you find. After that, we'll build a compass to navigate ideas, connect it all to the actual laws of physics, figure out a practical way to spot a lie, and finally, we'll look at the real, tangible cost of getting it wrong. All right, first up, what I'm calling philosophy's great miss. And this all kicks off with a really fundamental error, a mistake in how we've been taught to even think about what truth is. I mean, we're all feeling this, aren't we? The sense of just being lost in this sea of information and conflicting stories. And the reason it's all so confusing, it's because we've been set up to fail by a really basic fundamental error in how we think. It's something called a category error. Basically, we've been treating truth like it's an object, like a gold coin you can just find if you look hard enough. But it's not. There's this great analogy. Imagine a visitor comes to Oxford University. They see all the beautiful colleges, the libraries, the labs, and then they ask, okay, but where is the university? See, they don't get that the university isn't one more building, it's the system, the way all those parts work together. And that's exactly what we've been doing with truth. And this really gets to a massive split in how we see the world. On one hand, you've got the old way, substance ontology, which says reality is just a collection of static things. In that world, truth is a noun, it's a thing you find. But on the other hand, there's process ontology, which sees reality as a constant flow of dynamic events. And in that world, truth isn't a thing at all. It's a state you have to actively work to achieve, a state of alignment. And that brings us right to our second part, which is really the core of the solution. Thinking of truth as a verb. We have to stop asking, what is true? And start asking, what is truing? It's a total reframe. And the philosopher William James was all over this more than 100 years ago. He said, and this is so key, that truth happens to an idea. It becomes true. It's made true by events. It's not some dusty, fixed property sitting on a shelf. It's an active, dynamic process. So here's the big takeaway. Truth isn't something you find. It's something you do. It's not a destination you arrive at. It's more like a direction you're constantly pointed in. It's this ongoing act of aligning your map of the world with the actual territory out there. It's an action. Okay, so if truth is a process, how in the world do we navigate it? Well, that's where part 3 comes in. We're going to introduce a tool, a kind of compass for ideas. Now, it has a bit of a fancy name, the Psychic Hegemony, but don't worry about that. At its heart, it's built on 2 incredibly simple ideas. So, the whole compass is built on just 2 core principles, 2 axioms. The first one is a moral axiom. Create a system where the benefit is universal, for everybody. The second is a truth axiom. Create a system where lies are 0 and truth is 1, where things just line up with reality. That's it. Pretty simple, right? So from those 2 simple goals, we get 2 axes for our compass. First, we've got the morality axis. This one just asks the question, who benefits from this idea? Is it for everyone, or is it just for a select few? Maybe just for me. Then you've got the will axis. This one asks, how is this idea being put into action? Is it proactive? Is it creating something new? Or is it suppressive, trying to stop or prevent something? And this is where it gets really cool. When you put those 2 axes together, they create a map with 4 distinct quadrants. So you can take any idea, ask who benefits and how is it done, and just plot it on the map. It'll land in one of 4 places, giving you this instant read on what you're dealing with. From the greater good up here, all the way down to the greater evil down there. Okay, now for part 4. And this is where things get really fascinating because we're going to ground all of this philosophical talk in actual hard science. We're talking about the physics of belief. It turns out being right or wrong isn't just a mental exercise. It has everything to do with energy and thermodynamics. This all comes down to something called the free energy principle from a neuroscientist named Friston. Here's the gist of it in 4 steps. 1, your brain is basically a prediction machine. It's constantly building a model of the world to guess what's coming next. 2, when you believe a lie, it creates a mismatch, a prediction error. Your brain basically goes, whoa, that's not what I expected. 3,
And this is the key part. Resolving that error, that surprise, requires real metabolic energy. Your brain has to burn calories to fix the model. Which leads to step 4. Truth is simply the state of low energy, the state of alignment, where your model just works and your predictions are accurate. So to put it really simply, a lie is chaos. It's a high-entropy, metabolically expensive state for your brain to be in. It costs you energy. Truth, on the other hand, is order. It's a low-entropy state of coherence where everything just clicks. And get this, being right is literally physically easier on your body than being wrong.
Okay, so if lies are so draining and costly, how can we get better at spotting them before they take root? That's what Part 5 is all about, a practical, straightforward method for detecting deception. It turns out a lot of deceptive ideas follow the same predictable 3-step pattern. First, there's the bait. The idea is introduced with a clear benefit for a group that's easy to sympathize with. Then comes the cover. That specific benefit gets wrapped up in some big universal moral narrative, for justice or for freedom. But behind all that is the true intent, the hidden purpose, which is usually to benefit only the originator of the idea, often at everyone else's expense.
So how do you pierce that cover story? You just need 4 simple but really powerful questions. You ask, how will this not harm other people? How will this not harm me? And then, how will this help other people? And how will this help me? The key here is focusing on the not harm part. If you start digging and realize the benefits are really narrow, but the potential harm is widespread, well, you've probably just uncovered the true intent. And that brings us to our final section, part 6. Why does any of this really matter to you personally? Well, it comes down to the real, tangible cost of being wrong, and why it's so incredibly important to protect your own worldview. See, accepting a lie into your belief system isn't like adding a wobbly chair to your living room. It's much more like introducing a poison. It doesn't just sit in a corner, it spreads. It degrades the entire structure of your thinking, making your whole worldview smaller, more brittle, and less able to actually connect with reality. So this really changes how we should think about, thinking. Critical thinking isn't just some academic hobby. It's a fundamental act of self-defense for your mind. Your primary cognitive task, your main job, is to be the gatekeeper for your own worldview, rigorously judging what you let in and protecting its integrity from these corrosive, energy-draining lies. So, I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. What is the energetic cost of your beliefs? Are the things you hold to be true bringing your mind into a state of low energy coherence with the world around you, or are they forcing you to constantly burn fuel just to maintain the chaos?